Welcome to the Season 4 finale of the Lakers Locker Room. I'm your host, Tajon Graham, and at the time of this recording, it is the last day of exams for me. I am officially done my exams. I'm officially done my fourth year university, so I am in a very good mood, so I'm looking very forward to this episode. First, I want to thank everyone who's been listening to this podcast for the whole 22-23 school year. It's been another great year of athletics, a lot of awards, a lot of people shine this year, so I'm really looking forward to next year, which will obviously be my final year here at Nipissing University, so I wanted to give a special shout out to everyone listening to the podcast this year and who has supported me since I started this back in 2020. Today, I have a very special guest for the last episode of Season 4. I go way back with this guy. We actually went to high school together way back then. I didn't even know that, but we're going to talk about that. This guy goes by one name. I don't need to say his last name. He's that slick of a guy. My dog, Achu, man. What do you say, man?
What's going on, Tajon? You good?
Yeah, family. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I know it's a much more free podcast for you since you're done exams and everything. So it's good. I didn't want to catch you at a bad time. I know we've been trying to set this up, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited for sure. And yeah, if you guys didn't know, me and Tajon did go to high school together at St. John Paul now, right? So it was called Pope John Paul before, but
Pope, Blessed, Saint, the name crisis.
So many different names now, but yeah, and both in the IB program. Yeah, so it's going to be a good podcast. I guess we could relive our high school years.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to get into. I'm really looking forward to this episode, man.
Yeah,
looking forward. So let's get right into it, man. So I first would definitely want to start with, kind of redefining yourself. You were someone that has been here for, first of all, even before I get into that, man, from Pope until now, how did you end up here at Nipissing, bro? Like, I need to ask that first.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was a wild journey. I do owe a lot to Dev. Dev did drag me here, I guess.
Shout out Devin.
Shout out Devin. Initially, I was going to go to another university, McMaster at the time. I was going to go play there. But a text from Devin kind of changed everything. And let's say changed everything for the better, because I don't regret anything that's happened all over my 4 years here. And it's been a great transition, So it was a very... I don't know how to say it. It was a very quick transition because I guess I knew I was going to come to Nipissing in like July. And this is when soccer preseason started in August. So it was like, it was quick. And, me, I come from a 5-person, 3-bedroom family in Mornell Court. You know how it is in Scarborough. But it was fun, man. Learning a lot of stuff. I'm sure a lot of the veterans, as well as Devin and Ty and Jack, who's seen my growth over the few years, could tell you about some of the hilarious stories regarding cooking. I was not a good cook back then, but I mean now it's much better, so we don't need to worry. I can chef it up, so that's good. How about you, man? How about you,
bro? Listen, I always say so I went to, after Pope, I graduated from Pope in 2018, so the year after you. Then I thought I was going to go to UTSC. I thought I was just going to do school or psychology, but I wanted to keep playing basketball. I didn't have any offers. I met my prep coach in the summer, literally, I think 2 weeks after I graduated. Okay. And I played with him through the summer. And then he told me near the end of the summer that he had this opportunity to coach a prep team. And then he's telling me about it, and then he's telling me, hey, like, go try out, whatever. At the time, I never wanted to go fifth year. My parents and I were very adamant about that. I never wanted to go fifth year myself just because there's a negative stigma about fifth years, but I think now, looking back and now that I've done it, I think that should end, because I think there's a lot of benefits towards doing a fifth year, which I saw not just for basketball but also for education, because it upped my grades even though I had good grades. So then, I did the trial at TBA. That was like late August. And this is all like 2 weeks before I was supposed to start at UTSC. Like, this is like 2 weeks before. I'm stressing because I didn't want to go. And then they told me I made the team. I begged my parents to please let me go because it's obviously cost some money to go to prep. Yeah. And then... then I deferred for a year to UTC, which you had the option. They accepted my deferral, so that gave me a backup plan in case it didn't work out. I don't like these backup plans, but I had to in that case. I did the whole year at TBA for 1 year, then got offered by Coach Corey to go to Algoma, and then he got the job here, and then I came here to Nipissing.
Crazy journey, eh? Crazy journey. That's what I'm saying. And I think you're right, just speaking on like that extra year of development in high school, it's so key, not only for basketball, but just in school in general, because I think you see it's very popular, at least in basketball. Like, in Pope, there's a couple players who stayed an extra year, so yeah, that was cool. And it's funny because you get to play against Levi, who is an alumni. That's like those guys. It's AJ too, so that's I find that hilarious, man. You just full circle, you guys. you guys do the and you shoot for change, and then he was there. It was like a full circle, man.
Nah, it was cool just because like last year, like we see each other, we always guarantee to each other twice a year because we're in the same division, right? So like it's always cool to see those guys. Like I don't see those guys as much. I see Levi more than I see AJ, especially 2 years ago. I trained with Levi for a whole summer.
Nice.
So like I say, AJ I only see because when I see games, because Levi obviously lives in Scarborough as well. AJ lives in Austria, but it's always good to see those guys, especially the shoot for change game like you talked about. Like it was good to see those guys, just do it with them for the first time, like to be a part of that. Obviously, when the schedule last year, when there was a short season, like it gave more time between the games. So like there was actually a good time between the girls' game. We actually sat down and like kicked it before we had to play against each other. But like it was good to like reminisce and like crack jokes and like talk about old time. Like Desan was still there at the time. Now he's at Durham College. So like it was just good for us to be like a group again.
100%. That high school team was cold, man. That Pope team, you guys made OFSA, right? And like,
Twice. I've been twice.
Twice, man. I remember that team, and I was like, because I was there watching it, and it was good, man. Seeing you guys play together and just seeing how everyone came up, and now you guys are facing each other at other schools. It's like a full circle, like I said. So that must be cool for you, man, for sure.
Nah, it's cool because like it's weird because both teams were so different.
Yeah.
Like they're both teams. Like first year was like, you know, obviously I was new when I came in 2016, so it was like guys like Andre and like Nick and there's Tyreek at the time, and I see Methuen at the time. Obviously, only played half the year, but like Takeem. But then the next year, obviously, like when I became grade 12, like it was like the younger batch, like the Jaden Burks and AJs and Desan.
Yeah, that's
like
cool,
stuff like that. Malcolm came back, so like
exactly.
both teams were very different. Both were successful. So can't complain. It's always good to see those guys.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because you see that team, and like I'm very close friends with Methuen. Like he's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
So like even I remember you talking about him, and like we had some cold hoopers, and it's crazy to think that only like 2 or 3 of those players from that squad actually transitioned into university sport, because I feel like oftentimes, especially in Scarborough, or like there's this common misconception, and guys don't really see that outlet to play college or university basketball, right?
Yeah.
But like you did it, man.
Yeah.
That's big props to you.
You too,
did
bro.
it. Yeah, man. And you did it while doing IB. We both did it while doing IB.
Fam,
So
nah, for real.
and we know anyone who doesn't know what IB is, it's the International Baccalaureate program.
Mm-hmm.
But that was stressful, man. It's like 14
Bro.
exams in 2 weeks. It was crazy.
Listen, I copped out my grade 12 because I did IB certificates. I only had like 3, but like, but like grade 11. But there is benefit too, though, just because like. For me, I got transfer credits. Like when I came here, I was able to switch into business, so it got me 12 transfer credits. So
exactly, I feel like a very underrated part of it too is time management. Like in IB, you gotta like really manage your time. You have to manage it early. So when you transition into university, you see like a lot of players struggle to manage that student athlete lifestyle, but I feel like we have that edge, like, and to be completely honest, I never really wanted to do IB, but it was more of my mom pushing me to do it. But I don't regret it at all. Like the friends I made, friends you made, even the teachers, Miss Robertson, you probably go back and connect with them all the
Miss
time.
Robertson, Miss Reginald, and Miss Befredis all the time.
Yeah, shout out to them, man.
Nah, for real.
Dope teachers, man.
Nah, but let's talk about that though. Based on that, like the transition, right? So like me personally, when I came to Nipissing, like the year I did 5th year, like I got like really good marks. Like that was the part I was talking about in terms of help my grades. When I came here, I struggled. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was a big adjustment going from high school basketball to practicing like 2-3 times a day and like doing all this stuff. Like it was a struggle. How did you personally adjust to coming here and like the whole schedule being a youth sports student athlete for you? How was it for you?
It was a really good adjustment for me. I'd say like I didn't really balancing the student athlete lifestyle like in terms of grades. Yeah, like I did slack off a bit from my first and second year in terms of grades, just because the experience, I guess, just connecting with friends and stuff. I think that's awesome. But in terms of like cooking, that, because I'm a last child in my family, so like I've been babied, I don't have my own room at home, bro. We live in, what I'm saying? So it's just like when I came here, I had my own room. I was like, I seen like the stove, and you could ask the guys. I was asking them, is the chicken cooked? I was making sure I Snapchat. It was bad, man. I'm telling you, like that transition for those first year, that whole first year, even a bit of the second year, was very different for me. Just living on your own, trying to create that schedule for yourself. Yeah. It was a very different transition in terms of the student athlete lifestyle, for sure. Like there's much more training, especially with soccer. It's such a shortened season, Like our season starts in like, it used to start late August, but now it starts like September, but preseason starts in August, and we train 2 times a day sometimes. We're traveling. It's like playoffs, or like, like the end of the season's towards midterm season at school. Right. So it was just it was definitely a different transition for sure. I'd say IB helped me a little bit for sure, but it was different for sure. Like I think the main thing was cooking and like maintenance. And my mom always told me like she's like, man, you gotta learn eventually.
No,
So it was a good journey. I don't regret it because I learned so much, and it's awesome. Like honestly, like it's funny because I always think back to the stories and it's funny. How about you? Like.
For me, I think it was the main reason why I wanted to leave home because I couldn't do any of that stuff. So like for me, like I wanted the opportunity to grow. Because same thing, I'm the youngest, so like obviously, unfortunately, I have my own room. But
that's not unfortunate, bro. You're good.
No, I don't say fortunate. I say fortunate. I have my own, but basically, it was like I wanted to grow because I was 19. I was young. Like I honestly know myself, and I feel like if I had stayed, I don't think I would have developed as much as I have these last 4 years.
For sure.
And I still got one more year to go. I think honestly, I've been on this podcast now for 3 years. I always tell people like if you're able to like, go away from home and it's a good opportunity for you, I think do it because I think just the amount of lessons you learn, especially as a teenager.
100%.
Like you're forced to grow up fast, and that's not a bad thing. Like you're gonna.
It's not. It's really like I 100% agree with you, man. It's like the lessons and skills you learn, just being away from home, and because like. It was weird because I obviously had strict parents, so like I had to be home before the lights turned on. You know how it is.
Yeah.
So like I was always like there, and then I didn't really have that like someone to keep me in check, like my dad or my mom, right? So it was just like I had to do it for myself, and like grades, like like you see your grades start to drop, and you're like it's not. You have to really learn a lot of life lessons, and I agree, man. A lot of people like my biggest change throughout the years, like my huge developmental years, has been in Nipissing and. Like all my boys back home, like even Mithun, they always tell me, man, they're just like you've changed like so much since you went to Nipissing and coming out of it now. So it's been such a crazy journey, and obviously for the better, right? Yeah,
for sure. Now, how many years have you been at Nipissing exactly?
5 years now, going on 6. I believe it's 6, 2017 to 2023. Yeah. So that's 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. So 6 years. That's huge.
I know. I'll be here for 5, so we not that far. But when you first came, who would you say were the people that you attributed in terms of helping you grow? Was it like your captains? Was it your roommates, teachers? Like, who would you say that were the people that really helped you grow the most here?
Oh yeah, definitely the veterans on our soccer team. They were amazing, man. They're so friendly, welcoming. They always help me in terms of like whenever I need to get groceries. They're like, no problem. Like they taught me the ins and outs of schools. It was such an easy transition because being a part of a sports team, it allows you to already have that social connection when you come into university, right? Like if I wasn't like as soon as I came, I almost had like I call it a family just because it's a team.
No, it is.
It's when you go out onto the field, it's your 11 versus their 11, or your team versus their team, and like it builds a sense of camaraderie, and just you start to develop a sense of family. And those vets have been amazing. I have to give a shout out to Riley and Sweeney, or Chris Sweeney and Riley Gravel. They're like they lived in North Bay, and they also came in the same year I came in, and they helped me adjust for sure because they lived in North Bay. They took me around, they connected me with other people. So shout out to them for sure. And over the years, just growing, like Devin, Tyrell, Jack, those have been like 3 of the main people I've kind of grown with, and
of course.
You've seen us grow together. So
of course,
we definitely had some good times for sure. And there's so much other people, even in your program, like there's people to connect with to study. The people here were just very welcoming, and since it was small classes, it kind of forces you to engage with other students, right? So you wouldn't get that at another bigger school,
like
right?
U of T or Carleton.
You'd be a student number there, man.
That's literally why I say like you're known here as your name. Like I'm known as Tajon, you're known as Achu. Like you go to like when my brother went to U of T, he's probably known as what 0453 whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's facts though.
It sucks because like you don't get to connect with whether it's your teammates, other people in the community. Just learn a lot of different things, and the culture shift from Scarborough to North Bay was unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Like you must have felt it too, just because in Scarborough it was like, I don't want to say it was our people, but like it was so much more like
it's diverse.
It's diverse, yeah. When
Toronto is diverse, like every part of Toronto. Yeah,
exactly. When you come out here, you kind of just stand out in a sense.
Yeah.
But it was a different transition and that culture shock. Like you must have experienced it, right?
Oh no question. But like but stay on with you in terms of let's start with the transition to classroom. Like because you say you're probably an introvert, right? Probably like you're pretty like low key. Let's be honest. Like you have your moments, but I think people you don't know.
Yeah,
but I think people you don't know. Like
definitely now, I'm a bit more introverted. I'd like to keep it to myself, but yeah.
No, but based on what you said though, how long would you say it took for you to get comfortable in terms of talking with classmates and talking with professors? When I first came, like that was not my priority.
Oh my God.
My brother told me like, because he went through. He's like, listen, if you want to succeed in university, you gotta talk to people.
Yes.
Because he went through this. Like my brother's like the most introverted person of all time, and I used to go to school with him when I had PA days when I was younger. So I saw kind of that environment. I was like 11, 12, 13, 14. So I kind of seen it firsthand. So how long would you say it took for you to get comfortable talking to people?
Honestly, not until like the second semester. I think
that's facts.
it was a while. Like I was
facts.
because like you gotta understand. For me, I'm coming in and I'm sitting in classrooms. I'm sitting alone because I didn't really know who people were. Which is why like Riley and Chris Sweeney, they made that transition easier for me because they were in the same BPHE program. But I feel like just a culture shock because we're from Scarborough and it's a different language. I don't know if you noticed it. Like if we were talking Scarborough language, like Alai or Bear, like it was crazy because there was a practical one time I did a practical and I said something along the lines of, yo, there's bear like balls or something. There's bear something, and one of the other students, she's just like, there's no bears around here, and I was like, wow, like, you know. So I was like, I am definitely a long way from Scarborough. I gotta change my terminology, and like a lie or like, it was funny because I taught some of the BPHE students in my year about that as well. So whenever they'd see me, they'd be like a lie or two or like, so it was funny for sure. Like that language transition too. I don't know about you, but
no, it's funny for my team just because like especially when one of our teammates is from Portugal, so like we have a couple guys from our team from Toronto, especially like DeAndre, right? So I think DeAndre brought a lot of that to our team. So like, a lot of guys like who are from like Jack and like who are from Timmins, like from North, like they're not from the GTA, right? DeAndre's like Marco, so he's basically the GTA. But basically, like we're saying stuff and they're like same thing. Like, what is that? But they like it so much that they said all the time. Like DeAndre is Jamaican, like so am I. So he would always say "Rot." Now all these guys are saying "Rot."
Yeah, exactly. They say like everyone's just looking at you, just like, what are you saying?
No, but like they find it funny now, so they always say "Rot." And like as a joke, like they got it to us. So I was like, bro, like now we have like these guys all the way up north, Timbuktu, as we say back home, like saying "Rot" and like and boom, like yo,
oh my gosh,
it's funny.
The language. If we were to talk in Toronto slang right now, I don't think a lot of people would be able to understand us. Just imagine doing this podcast, just talking in Toronto slang.
Yeah, but I don't. I was just crazy. Even at home, I don't like doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't usually do it anymore, but like my boys are just saying that Toronto.
Like you say a couple of words, but like it's just funny. Like when you talk about the progression of like Toronto slang, when you hear like when I was in grade 10 or when you're in grade 11, because you're oldest, like you hear like top left, and then you go to the alai and like two twos and like.
Honestly, looking back at it now, sometimes
wallahi.
I wonder why people say it, but it's just funny.
I don't know why top left became a thing. Honestly, that was a prominent in 2015.
Bro, a lot of the lingo, it just didn't make sense at all. Like it was just everyone, you would get roasted for it almost like when you go out. Like everyone, people out here would kind of just laugh and were like, well, if you talk like, if people out here, if we took them to Scarborough and they started talking like how they, because there's a bit of an accent, right? If they started talking how they talk, in
certain areas,
like people in Scarborough would be like, what is going on? Like, what is this guy saying?
Imagine what's what Malvern.
Oh my god, yeah.
Imagine go to MT.
Oh my gosh, Pope, like even Pope, it wouldn't survive this. It would just be funny. So
I think more funny in Malvern MT because there's more black. Whereas you go to like MT or not Pope had like more like Filipino, so like it's a little bit more diverse. I think you can get away with it there, but MT would that'd be funny.
Yeah,
or even Newman.
Newman
would be very funny.
That was hilarious, man. Yeah.
But even like talking like the transition still, I know like we talked about it a lot, but it's the truth. I feel like you talked about like obviously being people of color coming up here is not the most diverse. It was definitely a shell shock for me being like a young, same thing, teenager. Like, how was it for you? Obviously, like adjusting here from Scarborough.
It was tough. Honestly, it was some of the hardest years, the first 2 years, and like I would tell my mom, I'm like, man, I miss my friends. Like my boys, like I love my boys back home. Like they're from Pope, like M1X, like those guys. You know that hallway in Pope? Like there's always be those brown guys there.
Yeah.
But like those guys,
the one near the gym, the one near
the side entrance, you know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of my boys, it's always a good time when you're around your boys like that. So it was just, I'd always miss them because like, they'd always be doing things. And I'm like, man, like I definitely missed that. So it was different. And it was difficult for me. Like the first 2 years, I tell my mom, I'm like, man, it's so hard to transition. But at the same time, it's like, it's worth it because you're in like a different area almost, right? So it's just like, man, it's growth. It's literally growth because now you're learning a new language, a new culture. But again, like I said, it took me 2 years and maybe half a semester to kind of start to open up a bit more, and connect with people. So that's why I'm saying like it was different. It was different for sure. But I don't regret it because some of the friends I've made here, like it's just unbelievable. Like I always go back to saying Ty, Jack, Devin, like Riley, Sweeney, some of the DCM guys and BPHE. But like I made so much friends and it's been such a good transition for the better. Although it was difficult in the first 2 years. It's definitely better. I think it's all for the better. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, no, I think the fact that because there's lack of diversity, I think it provided such an opportunity, especially when the George Floyd thing happened. Obviously, like the same people how we started New Base,
Yeah,
right?
man.
I think it was like we knew that was a necessity, right? So I think just
100%.
like seeing like black and brown people that kind of like get that platform, like I feel like what we did was we created a platform for like people like ourselves, so that when they come in the future, they don't have to.
Yeah. And what you've done, like a lot of people don't know this, but like what you've done is literally life changing. Like that's really like what you did was create a platform for people to express their thoughts. It was never a thing in North Bay, and like you see so much people now not afraid to express their culture. You know, dancing. Like it's what you've done is seriously like if you're listening to this, anyone from Pope, like the principal, I don't know who the principal was there.
I know not Mr. Watson no more. I miss Mr. Watson. Shout out, man. I miss Mr. Watson.
You should be a Hall of Fame on that wall. You know that wall of Hall of Fame, man.
I mean, I'm on the wall of fame for like the opposite team. But I need to be like in that mural. I just talked to Mr. Eddie about
the mural,
that.
that's
It's Mr. Eddie. I need to talk to Mr. Eddie about that.
No, but like seriously, what you've done that change, and like you've seen an opportunity for your voice and people of the color's voice to rise, and that time was so difficult, and like you know there's a lot of resistance, and it's crazy how much resistance there was.
Yeah.
And like that's what I'm saying, you never really noticed it. Like when I was younger and transitioning, I was like but then when you bring this issue to light, it's really interesting to see people's reaction to it, right? And like that's why I say, like I always tell everyone back home, like Tajon's doing big things, man. What you've done is goated, like for sure. Like
I appreciate it, bro.
And like I think that change you've made, and like even yourself, that growth to step out of your comfort, because you were more of an introvert as well, right?
Yeah.
And like that growth to come out and speak, you had to create a platform which forced you to speak with other people, and like of course you had help with like Warren Lindsay, like shout out to him too for helping out with that, but like you like sparked that change, and you really came out of your comfort zone with the help of the other members as well. It was really cool to see. So that's a huge accomplishment, man. You should really hold that to your chest, because I think the change that you've made, especially in the city of North Bay, one where it was needed, like I think you've done an amazing job, man, for real. I'm proud to say you're a Pope alumni. Yeah, say
I appreciate that.
People from Pope say it changed. Like, yo, I'm telling you, this guy, like, he had to step out of his comfort zone. And like you said, man, like, you were not comfortable speaking. Like, you know, you're more of an introvert. And, like, now you have to speak in front of crowds, do presentations at school, talk about what's going on in our community, how we can make a change, right?
Yeah.
So,
I definitely think I was always an extrovert. Like, I always, like talking to people. But I think the fact that, because I was away from home, I think the university life kind of flipped me in terms of like, obviously when I'm with the guys, I was like even with the guys my first year, like I was an extrovert, but there was times where I was kind of like really like shy, just because like I didn't have a lot of experience in terms of like other stuff, if you guys understand what I mean. But basically, like, yeah, I just think that the fact that like you said, it was life changing, because I think all of us realized like we needed to do it. And like I was talking about with Ty and Simone on a few episodes ago, and they're talking about like it changed all of our lives. Like all of us, like it gave all of us more of a purpose, you know. It helped us create a platform. Like we got to gain new skills. Like Ty talked about him, how he's being a mentor helped him. Simone, like Dev has done amazing stuff. Like obviously got a shout out Quentin, Shannon, and Kai. We were the 4 original co-founders. Like
exactly,
they're all gone now.
Too.
So like,
and I seen them growing up too. So it was cool. Like I always seen that platform when it came out. You guys did some serious change, and now it's about inspiring the next generation, right? The people that come up here and just being like, what can we do to make those changes, right? Because man, I'll tell you what, like Diwali, which is a celebration of light, and it's like kind of related to the Indian culture, like Tamil culture, like that. When there was an event that happened here regarding that, I was like, wow, like I was
Diwali, my friend Mahek put down,
And, like people would never have heard of it here, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like that. What you guys did with that, the NU-based party, the event that you
celebrate the culture.
Celebrate the culture. That was, if you missed that event, man.
They got to come to next year.
Yeah, exactly. DJ Bangers. I might have to make the trip up, bro. I'm telling you. Like,
if you can't, man, that'd be tough, man.
No, for real, man. Like what you've done, especially with your team and how you guys grow it, and like grown as a community almost. Like you guys inspired a lot of people, so that's a big thing you've done, as well as your team members, man.
No, but I appreciate that. But even just asking you, I kind of want to ask you this since we're on this topic, like from being I guess seeing it from the outside, but not really, just because you have like friends and obviously it's close to your heart. Like, what was it like for you in terms of kind of like how did us starting New Base kind of, for you personally as a student of color or an athlete of color, how did that kind of show you that there's an importance for athletes to kind of get involved, right? Because I feel like a lot of us, like, I think for me personally, I was inspired by the NBA bubble, right? So when I saw like the LeBrons and like Damian Lillard and DeRozan and John Walls up in like in the streets and like have like the t-shirts and like the commercials, stuff like that, that was like, and I was like, damn, that's kind of how Shoot for Change came for me. But like, what was it like for you when we started New Base, kind of being a fellow student athlete of color from the outside, kind of seeing the importance of kind of talking about this type of stuff.
I'll be honest, man. Like I'm Tamil, so it's a minority ethnic group as well. So it's like there's been a lot of discrimination around it. There's a civil war in Sri Lanka, and a lot of people don't know, right? So, and I think towards my first and second year, I would never express that I'm Tamil. I was kind of like, I don't want to say I was ashamed. Like I don't want to say I was ashamed. But
you definitely suppressed it though.
You know, yeah. People would just be like, "What's Tamil?" And I was like, like explaining it to these people. You know, explaining it to someone takes so much time. But not a lot of people know, right? And like especially the Tamil community, it's kind of close knit. So especially when you make that expression for yourself through New Base, I was inspired myself too. Like I was like, I'm a Tamil student athlete, which is even it's quite rare to be a Tamil student athlete in like a university platform. There's not a lot, right? So just even being that, I wasn't afraid to express myself. Now I wasn't afraid to say that I'm a Tamil student athlete. I come from a minority ethnic group. You guys definitely inspired me too. So that's why
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why I was just like, man, you guys definitely created that platform where I could express myself now. Because like back then, my first 2 years, like people would ask like, what's like. What, like I always hated that question. What are you? Like I'm like, bro. Okay, so I would just be like,
ask where your background is, not what are you.
Yeah, so I was just like, I'm Tamil, and they'd be like, what's that? Like, where's that? That's basically India, right? And I was like, no, it's not India. It's Sri Lanka. It's an island. Like there's a lot of like, I don't think Tamil people like identify themselves as living in Sri Lanka. It's like we're all over the world now, just because of the civil war and what happened. And not a lot of people know about that, right? So now just expressing that and telling people like, this is what it is, this is what's happening, try to bring more awareness to it, right? Because it was for a long time too, like I'm sure you heard of the Tamil Tigers, like the protest groups that was going on in Ottawa and Toronto, like that kind of inspired different expressions, right? Especially with the Tamil genocide that was happening in our own country. So yeah, man, like I think you guys definitely inspired me to step out of my shell and express even my own culture and my own beliefs, right? Which is definitely interesting.
No, that means a lot because like I didn't like it's kind of nice to kind of see how much people were impacting from. I feel like about it, but like until like when you hear stuff like that, like it actually confirms what you're doing like means something, right? Yeah. Like even like a few weeks ago, I actually got like the letter from like the first recipient of the Warren Lindsay bursary, like kind of seeing her talk about how much like just $1,000 like helping her with the education, right? Like it's huge.
It's huge, man. Yeah, right? And the change you guys are making is it's unbelievable. It gives that opportunity for. I always say people to express themselves, and a lot of people may see that as like, oh, that's not a big deal, but it is. It is expressing your culture, expressing who you are. It's important. You don't want to dim that light, right? Everyone's different, and it's important to accept all these different cultures.
Yeah, and I think that's why like I feel like it was more effective because we're all athletes. Because I think sports is like the perfect platform for that because like there's so much diversity, especially like. I feel like the whole span of since you and I both been Nipissing, I think it's easy to say the soccer teams and basketball teams are easily the most diverse teams out of all the teams here. I don't think it's a question, right? So I think like the fact that all of us kind of took a stand and kind of wanted to do something more than just being an athlete, I think that was imperative. But even just staying on that topic, even to ask you this question, like obviously you're someone that does a lot of stuff outside of being an athlete. Obviously you do music too, which we'll touch a little bit more just now. But like basically just in hindsight, like why is it important for you've been here now for 6 years, I've been here for 4. So like the student athlete experience is like very, 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 like my coach said, it's like a job, really.
It is.
You know what I mean? So like, why is it important for athletes to find, things to do outside of their sport? Like, why is it important for them to try to create an identity that does not involve their sport? Like, I think a lot of times people get comfortable in their identity of being just an athlete of their sport. Like, I'm a basketball player, I'm a soccer player, I'm a hockey player. Like, I don't think sometimes I feel like people miss the boat of having the opportunity of being able to create an identity because like especially when you're at a school like this where you're far away from home, there's things to do, like you have the opportunity, but like why is it important for athletes to try to create an identity outside of the sport?
It's so important, man. Like I think even for my first 2 years here, I was always labeled as a student athlete, and like I like that label a bit. Like I'm a varsity athlete for Nipissing University. I represent them.
I do too. Yeah.
You play against the likes of like U of T and stuff. It's cool. Like it's definitely really cool to have that label. But then as I got older, I started to realize the importance of branching outside of sport and trying to express yourselves in different ways. Because I feel like a lot of people don't understand this when I say it, but sports almost like an art. Like when you play, like I feel like it's crazy. Like
Serge Ibaka, I do art.
I do art. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, but I feel like that you get to express yourself in sport, and like a lot of people don't find that outlet. So like that transition out of sport becomes so difficult. That's why I'm just like, man, like it's important to find something else, whether it's music, whether it's education, even whether it's like anything. Like it could be anything, just connecting with communities, finding something else that you're passionate about, right? And a lot of people don't get that because they're so locked in on like when they're young that like it's an athlete or nothing else, and it's okay. That's an okay mindset to have, but at the same time, like, what happens after? Like, you have your education to show for after you're an athlete, which is good, but like, what happens? Let's say, God forbid, you get a bad injury, but what happens after? That transition is scary, and it's a tough one. A lot of people don't think about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, and I think too. Yeah, exactly. I agree, because I feel like a lot of times that when you're young. And I know we're still young, so I know it's weird to say, but let's say when you're younger and when you first come into university to play your sport, I think everyone has the goal, okay, I want to go pro. I did too, right?
Everyone, man. Yeah.
But I feel like, though, as you get older, I think as you mature and you start to see this other stuff out there for you, I think you realize that, okay, there's other things you could do. Because even like the greats, like obviously even professional athletes, like remember, they usually play to like what, 40? Yeah. I mean, if you're lucky, hopefully, like obviously,
the average pro career lasts like maybe 2-3 years.
That's
like,
what I'm
it's not a 10-year career. Like the likes of like LeBron, that's like
so let's even say that. Say they get drafted like 20, you're gonna play maybe to probably, if you're good enough, 30. Let's say 10 years. 30.
That's if you're good enough.
Exactly.
A lot of players come and go, man.
Exactly. But let's say you're 30, so you can play to your 30, 32, right? Hopefully, if you're lucky, you'll live a long life. Obviously, unfortunately, R.I.P. Kobe. Obviously, Kobe unfortunately passed at 40.
Yeah, man, for real.
But like, if you're able to live to like your 60s and your 70s, there's still like 40 plus years of life you have to live. Like, once you're done, like, what are you gonna do?
That's so key, man. Like, I know, and R.I.P. Kobe, man. He had such a big influence on me, and probably even you, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, so you see him trying to do endeavors outside, like in business and other areas, and just that competitive nature, the Mamba mentality, which is so cool, right?
Storytelling, yeah.
So yeah, the storytelling.
Like he's the perfect guy of like fighting like your identity outside of basketball. Because once he retired, like he was done. Like the only thing that kept him around basketball was his daughter.
Exactly.
Other than that, like he was doing like storytelling, he was doing investments, like. Kobe was about to take off. Unfortunately, he passed away, obviously. But like he was the perfect example of like redefining yourself like post career.
Oh yeah.
I think even Magic Johnson too, because obviously I think Magic Johnson is the most perfect example, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. This guy was at the top of his game, played 12 years, and early 30s, caught HIV. Mm-hmm. Right. So like obviously there was a death sentence at the time, but like basically what we're talking was, okay, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right. And he talked about in his documentary, he's like, okay, I need to reinvent myself. Like that's how he started getting into business, and now he's like worth billions of dollars, like Magic Johnson Enterprises. Like he's someone that like is perfect at redefining his outside of being a basketball player, right? So like I just think those two people, and what LeBron's obviously doing. LeBron,
he's a different.
He 101. Like he's definitely somebody I look up to just because like the social justice and like the school and like stuff like that. Like he's definitely like a good role model. But like I think those three are the best examples of like being able to redefine yourself outside being a basketball player. Like I always say, like, if you're able to describe yourself without saying you're insert your sport player, then if you can't, then that's a problem.
That's like the ultimate goal too, like I feel like especially for me too, like coming from like Morinal Court where I was born and raised, so like when I was like growing up it wasn't the best. Now it's a bit better obviously, but like giving opportunities for kids like me to play. Like bro, I'll tell you, like growing up, I've played against much better athletes than me, but they just didn't have the outlet. Like, like there's even like when you think about when I go back to Pope basketball team, like a lot of those guys could have played at the university level. Those guys were hoopers, you know what I'm saying? So like just going back and seeing like people like me, kids that are growing up that don't really see an outlet outside of that community, like I want to try and make that change. And like that even came like what you guys do too. It was such an impact, and like that change is so important to show kids that there's an outlet. You could get your education and play sports. Sometimes that pro route isn't always gonna happen, right? Like if you're good enough, man, you could get a scholarship, write off some of your money, and like save some of your money at least when you're doing university and get an education.
Establish your future.
A lot of people don't see that, especially in our neighborhood, right? So it's just like growing up where I'm from too. It's like they don't see that outlet. But I've been so blessed to like have parents that always put me in different programmings, and like I always say I owe everything to them because they always put me in different programmings to keep me away from that stuff. But a lot of other people just they can't. That's all they see, like the violence, the drugs, like So that's why I'm like, when people, I don't like it when people would just be like, oh yeah, like that's who he is, and they put that label like you're from more now, like this and that, because people get that label, and I'm just like, exactly, and I'm just like, man, these guys are so talented if you give them the opportunity and outlet, right? So that's key, and there's a lot of change happening, which is good, but that change is something that's so essential, like, and every time I go back, I always try and tell everyone there's opportunities outside, man, like. you just gotta keep looking. Like, who would have thought I would be in Nipissing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't even know about this place until we came here for officer.
dude, I didn't know about this place until I came here. Like, I was like, where is Nipissing? I was like, I've never heard of this place before. All my boys were like, where is Nipissing? Like, they thought it was in the States. I was like, I don't know where. Like, it was such a different place. So that's why I'm just like, man, it's different. Right? A lot of people don't see that opportunity. They only see the likes of U of T. Like,
No, exactly. No, but I like what you said too, because it's basically like one of my motivations for why I go really hard in terms of like the new base stuff, because like you said, the representation, right? Like people don't see an outlet. 100%. Right. I was fortunate to have parents and like an older brother who set that example, but a lot of people don't have that, right? So, and I think not just in Scarborough, I think a lot of places, like people just don't have that outlet because like it's your surroundings, like people give you the false narratives, false like. There's a lot of things, right? And I feel like that's a lot of reason why too when it comes to basketball or sports in general, that's why people don't make it, because I feel like a lot of the things happen. Like sometimes people have the stigma, oh, this person was just too lazy or this, but sometimes straight up it's just life. Like things happen to people, right?
Yeah, and people think like they chose a certain lifestyle that has such a negative connotation, but there is literally no other outlet. Like, you know, if you want to make money, you got to do certain things, and like they're not good, obviously, but like a lot of people don't see that. Especially like I will be surprised. Like I would like someone that hasn't experienced that, you know, Scarborough lifestyle, like monocore. Just come and try to put yourself in the shoes of like some of the kids there, right? You know, and just seeing what they see on a daily, you know, like robbings, like stuff like that. It's like, dude, like it's a different lifestyle. So a lot of people don't really understand, and they really think that they chose a certain lifestyle. It's like, man, certain people they had no other option. And
right.
That's a key thing a lot of people don't understand. Is there isn't this other outlet, so like, I mean, obviously they're gonna be involved in like some crime and stuff, so it's not the best, but there really isn't another outlet, right? So, I mean, yeah, and that's the thing I realized out here. Like when I came here, you really start to realize like the potential of like going out studying, you know, the potential of being a student athlete, using your sport as a passport. I had a conversation with a coach that said like, you should use your sport as a passport. Try and go to different places with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the sport has led me here, and like from here to hopefully other places. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, sport should be like almost like a passport for you to learn, do other stuff, get involved with other jobs, right?
Yeah, I mean the famous saying is like, you use the sport, don't let the sport use you, right? So like, you know, exactly. You use basketball, don't let basketball use you. Use soccer, or don't let soccer use you. I want to ask you a question though, because you've been here for 6 years, and right now you're finishing up to get your master's. I actually want to ask you about that, but going back to the representation thing. What was the reason why you wanted to get your master's? Was it you wanted to get your master's just because obviously you wanted to get as much education as possible to give yourself more opportunities, or was it also part of you that also wanted to show that representation, because not a lot of people have masters? Like, what was your thought process in terms of why you wanted to get your master's?
Absolutely. So around like my second or third year, honestly, I was interested. Originally, I wanted to be like a paramedic almost, but then. And when I started to come out of my shell and talk to different profs, and like the profs here are amazing, man. Like you can connect with them so easily. But I started to talk to some profs and see different opportunities in education and like different types of funding that could support education. A lot of people don't know that, right? There's a lot of funding out there that profs have to support a student's education. So then when I seen that opportunity and just like the potential involved in there, I was like, you know what? Like, why not? Why not continue my education? And I've come to learn like education is such a process. Like, you're always learning. Like, you know, you can never say you're not learning in any aspect, in basketball, in the sports, and like coaching, whatever it is, man. It's like you're always building that foundation to learn, and that's kind of my mom in me. She always pushed education on all of us, right? So she was a big advocate for education. She's like, I don't know, like she's pretty old, but like she's still trying to do like her degree and like get a teacher's college certificate. I was like, man, like she's really inspiring, man. And just seeing her as an immigrant, an immigrant that comes into a country where English is her second language, and just seeing her continue her education despite, you know, like the language barrier is so inspiring for me. And I'm just like, man, like, so she definitely is huge on that. Like, she's definitely pushing me for education as well. So when I told her this opportunity about my master's, she's like, do it, man. There's not a lot of people where we come from have a master's, and like she was huge on education, so she was happy to hear that as well. But she that was kind of her thoughts, and like how she kind of raised me, right, to focus on education as much as everything else. But
no, I want to ask that too, because I'm looking to get my master's too. But like, I'm proud of you, bro. Like I said, not a lot of people get masters back home, right? So like, or in general, to be honest with you, right? It's like a lot of these unfortunate people are trying to hustle and get like do their own thing, which is fine. Like, some people work like that, but like, it's good to hear that, because like I said, when I heard you getting a master's, like, damn, that's tough.
Yeah, it is. And like I don't like that. Like I always feel like I have imposter syndrome. It's like where you kind of just don't feel like you belong there in certain meetings. Like I'm meeting with like some very like people that are like yeah, man, like these guys are producing like research papers and stuff. I'm sitting there, I'm like,
damn,
I don't want to say too much. Like I don't want to like, you know, I'm just sitting there. I was like, like you should hear the conversations, man. I was like, yeah, it's like, what do you think? Like, yeah, it's good. Yeah.
But yeah,
well, honestly, man, like it's a different experience, and that's why I say education is such a process. Like such a process. I've learned so much, and the research is kind of what inspired me. Research about how to develop better soccer players or like coaching and like just around that topic. That's what kind of drew me into that. I was like, well, this looks really cool. Like, what can I do? And just like trying to publish like certain stuff that will be beneficial for communities and everything like that, right? So that was kind of what inspired me to do my master's. But yeah, it was definitely an experience. Like I'll tell anyone to do their masters, it's definitely a grind. Like
that's awesome.
That balance between student athlete lifestyle is different, man. Like it's very difficult. It was a different one for sure, and like yeah, it was awesome though. I would never regret taking it for sure.
No, I love that. I love hearing that. Going back to talking about sports, you know, obviously we talked a lot about like the transition stuff like that, which has been really good. I want to go back on the sports for a second. You've been here for a long time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I think we talked about this off air, but like you played multiple positions, right? Like talk about that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You don't see this a lot for sure. Very rare case, but I started off as a goalkeeper. Okay. And I came in here as a goalkeeper my first 2 years. So our first year, after that season, we had a coaching change. And then that second year, kind of, I didn't play much, I guess. Reason being is like I wasn't, I guess, tall enough. I'm like 6 feet, but like, you know, I'm joking. But like, I was like, he's like 6 feet. He's like 6 feet's not tall enough. I was like, yeah. So then I was like, you know what? Like I know I'm not gonna play in this position, so I decided. I knew I could play out. So one thing that separated me as a goalkeeper from other goalkeepers is I'm able to play with my feet, which gives like an extra outlet to like a certain style of soccer that coaches like, right? So basically like it had different types of values, and then I noticed that I wasn't gonna play as a goalkeeper much here, so I switched to a midfielder, and that was such a grind. Like that was such a grind, man. I had to go through so much. Like the whole summer of just working out consistently, trying to get in shape, trying to develop the intelligence to play as an outfield. And then at first when I told my coach when I came back to third year, he's like, no, you're kind of crazy. But then towards the end of the season, like I started as a midfielder, as a center midfielder. So going from a goalkeeper to a center midfielder, it's like, that's a very interesting story. Like when people don't believe me, but like when I tell them, like it's crazy, like, you know, just to make that transition. But ultimately I was given a situation, and I was like, how can I change this situation? Well, can't change my height. So I was like, I could change my position for sure. So then that ended up being good. And yeah, that was definitely a crazy transition. I always say it, and like I've only been playing midfielder for like 2-3 years, but I feel like there's so much more potential for me to play. So yeah, it was different, man, for sure.
No, that's tough. And then obviously near the end of your career, you made another transition this year. Like you went from being a player to being a coach. You know, the last episode I talked to Madison about that. She went through the same transition last year, and then she came out to be a player.
Yeah.
But for you, what was that transition like of going from being a player to a coach? First of all, how did that opportunity even come about for you to go from a player to a coach?
So like, the coach, like Tony, he's the head coach of the men's soccer team. He kind of always knew that I had certain intelligence and like tactical awareness or like the situation on the field, and I really like that component of soccer, just the tactical organization and like how to break down certain teams and certain formations. So and I've been coaching for a while. I've been coaching since I was 16 at the youth level. So then I was like, you know what, this is my last year at Nipissing. I was like, I want to try and get this opportunity to coach. And like thankfully Tony was like, yeah, for sure. He was excited to have me on. And like the one thing about him is like at other universities, I don't know if they'd let me have an input on like tactical organization, training sessions and stuff, but he gave me the reins. He was like, yeah, man, like whatever you want to do, just show me before the session or the game, and like we could try and implement it. So like he's been such a great person for that transition, and he, honestly, like I owe a lot to him too, right? Because he allowed me to step into that role as well. Honestly, looking back at it, there's some like a part of me that was like, man, I wish I played too, you know? Like I wish I played.
Yeah, do you regret it? Do you regret your decision?
I don't regret it because like I know like I don't want to say I regret it, but like the coaching experience was second to none. Not only learning from like Tony, but the women's coach as well, David and Nick. Those guys are fantastic as well. So I work with them as a goalkeeper coach. So it's been such a great opportunity, and like I wouldn't have got that opportunity anywhere else. So you know what? I was like, I'm gonna take advantage of this. And again, how many people can say they were an assistant coach for a university at like 23, 22, right? So
Right,
it was just
exactly.
it was pretty cool to have that label or put that on my resume for sure. And like we had a great season, so I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. I've also learned I have so much more respect for coaches, man. Like it's unbelievable the amount of time they put in, and like just I've learned so much, not only about just like how to, like I was pretty good at tactical organization, designing training sessions, but like the emotional intelligence to deal with players and egos, and like just making sure the team is engaged, or making sure player personnel is okay. Like you know how it is, like people have certain egos and stuff.
Right,
So that's
right.
why I was like, learning that was so key. I was able to learn a lot from like, even Eric, the volleyball coach, Thomas, the basketball coach, even Rachel. Like you know, so learning from them, it was just like it was awesome. It was such a good experience. So I don't want to say I regret it, but it was like, I wish I could be on the field too, because I've only been playing midfield for like 2 years, and I know, so yeah.
Now, but what was it like when obviously this year you guys had the success you had? Like you guys made a run, you guys almost were 1 win away from nationals. Like what was it like for you to be on that side of the field and just to see how well the team did this year?
Yeah, it was difficult, man. Just like the hours I had to put in for coaching as well, like tactical organization, video analysis, and stuff like that, and just seeing the product of it. I didn't expect to see the product in like 1 year, you know, like. But these guys, it's a testament to our players because they worked hard. Some of them believed in the system, and like you know, we had some ups and downs in the season, but it only made us stronger. And like we had this feeling we'd go far in playoffs. It was just good. Like we had a good group of guys, we had a good group of talent. Everything was kind of clicking together, and it was fun. Like it was really cool to see kind of everything mesh together, and that playoff run kind of shows an testament to it. So. It was definitely an awesome experience, and I never regret it. So,
No, it was honestly for me personally, it was just so sick to watch that run because I've always said I just want to make a run. Like for you guys to make a run, like you guys were, especially see how emotional like guys like Ty, like Jack were, like Devin, obviously, like just to see how much work because they've been here for so long, and just to see like the success of the team. Like you guys be on Terra Tech, no one thought y'all was gonna be on Terra Tech.
No one, man. Even the UFC game here, like
that was a dogfight of a game too.
It was a dogfight. It was cold weather. Like
Rainy
I think there was like stats or someone on Instagram posted that UFC are more likely to win.
Oh yeah,
like,
I seen all over Snapchat. Y'all were petty.
Everyone was
oh
petty
yeah,
on the team. They were like putting that, and I started laughing. I was like, that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Like, for a school of our stature, with the like you know the amount of people we have, and like just a smaller school, to do that, to beat the likes of UFT, Ontario Tech, and like compete against McMaster as well, it's unbelievable. It was a really good run, and definitely proud of the guys for like the work they put in, believing in the system. You know, that was kind of it, believing in each other, believing in the system, believing the work we put in, and it was crazy to see it all mesh together, which is awesome. So.
No, it was great. Like I said, you guys had a great run. Because I was happy for you as first year coach, and hey, you can say, yo, team went to semifinals. So
yeah. I'm not saying it was me for sure.
But yeah, you were part of that. You played a role.
Yeah.
Yo, come on, big stuff up, bro.
But like, it's rare to see. That's the other thing. That's why I respect coaches so much. It's rare to see anyone like credit the coaching staff when a run like that happens. It's all the players, right? The players are just like, we did this or I did this or something like that. So it's rare for the coaches to get that notoriety. But we know, like, Tony was amazing too. He taught me a lot. I learned so much from him. So I'm grateful for that experience. I was able to learn a lot from him in terms of coaching, just realizing that more of coaching is just managing, like player emotional and personnel. So learning from him too, and definitely seeing that product. But no, you're right. Like a lot of people would be like, not a lot of people point to the coaches when they win. They point to the coaches when they lose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's rare to see, like, let's be realistic. On your podcast, how many of the athletes came in and was like, yeah, my coach was the reason, like, you know. Yeah, so it's like, it's not, that's why I respect coaches so much. They're unsung heroes, man. Like, they put in so much work. Like, it's more work than actually playing, which is crazy. So, like, yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Nah, for sure. We wind down this podcast, like I said, a lot of great conversations. I want to get to some fun stuff. Music.
Yeah.
Yo, anyone that not know what this guy says choosing this guy, the bars this guy has, man, is actually crazy, man. Like, so we winding down. I want to talk about some fun stuff. How did you get into music, man? Because I've been at your crib a couple times, laid out a couple tracks, not the best, but
T Graham, you guys gotta wait for that album. This guy's dropping some tracks.
Nah, how about that track Trifecta Flow, man? Yo, we gotta.
No, 100%. Honestly,
but how'd you get into music, man?
Honestly, when I was younger, like I just liked to rap as an expression of myself. So like I'd write like obviously lyrics and stuff.
Wait, did you do the thing where you find beats on YouTube and try to write a track over it?
Oh yeah, 100% all the time. It'd be nice, man.
Right on the agenda notes.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to when you're just like, you find an outlet to express yourself, you know, get away from everything, and like you really see it in the lyrics. Like if anyone listens to the lyrics, they'll be like, oh, like this guy, like, you know, you could tell.
You say stuff with substance, not no like BS on like a
exactly. So like I feel like it's a cool outlet for sure. It's nothing serious, but like I have like I got the studio equipment and stuff, and it's almost for like fun. It's a fun way to express yourself, kill time, So
it's fun.
It's awesome, and like you've been killing it, bro.
Nah,
if
bro,
you guys don't know,
I'm
Dejan's been in the studio for a while.
Yeah, a couple
bro.
of tracks, but like
He's been cold with it for real,
Yeah.
for real, man. For real.
It's fun, man. Yeah, like you said, like it's just something to do, right? It's just other stuff outside of your sport, right?
Exactly, man.
Podcasts, like
good.
music, like
yeah, it's a good outlet. It's a good
fun,
outlet.
man.
You can't always be, down in your sport, like
because it's draining, man. I'm telling you, sports sometimes can get draining.
Oh my god, yeah, bro. Like practices.
I love basketball. You love soccer.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I love the sport, but like sometimes when,
gets
it's mentally, you need that
bro.
escape. If you're always thinking about that sport, then it becomes a problem sometimes, So you need to find that almost the identity outside of sport as well. So.
Exactly. But speaking of basketball, man, NBA playoffs are on right now, man. At the time of this recording, it's what day is today? It's April 20th, so this will be a week from today that this episode comes out at the time it's recording. What's your favorite matchup so far in the first round, but what you like so far?
I like the Suns and the Clippers series, man. I'm a lot of my boys flame me for this. I'm a big KD fan just because he's so fun to watch. It's almost like art, obviously some of the moves he's made was questionable, but like bro, he's an NBA player. Why you guys he doesn't care what you guys think, but that series,
burner counts.
Yeah, burner counts. Yeah, that series is fun, man. Like KD going up against Kawhi, you get to see that. That's really cool. Honestly, the Suns should win. Hopefully they win.
Yeah, I picked them in 6.
Yeah, I'll get roasted if they don't win for sure. My boys back home, but
this,
that's a fun series.
But right now this Warriors and Golden Kings series. At the time it's recording.
They're playing today, right?
Yeah, at the time it's recording. Yeah, Draymond just got suspended, like I said, which is a dumb. Obviously, by the time this comes out, he should be back. But
that's hilarious, man.
But who do you got win that series, man?
Honestly, Kings. A lot of people, so much.
I picked the Warriors at 6, man. Like I still think it can go 6, but like if Sacramento wins today.
Oh yeah, that's 3-0. I don't think
it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
I know Draymond's a key part of their offense and defense. So that's why I was like, a lot of people slept on the Kings, man. There's no way.
I did because we don't see them a lot here.
Exactly, but like that's what I was like. You guys all slept on the Kings, man. The Kings have a good squad. Like that trade for Sabonis was a good one.
No, you know what's crazy? That's like one of the few trades where it worked out for both teams.
Yeah.
Like the Pacers got Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield.
Halliburton's cold.
Yeah,
man.
but that's what people are shocked because they're saying, why would you trade Tyrese Halliburton? But
it just didn't fit the timeline. You had 2 guards.
It wasn't even that though. I think they said they picked De'Aaron Fox to say, okay, we just traded a guy that could help run the franchise. Like we picked you.
Yeah.
You gotta get it done.
He's been turning up though.
I mean, he just won Clutch Player of the Year.
He's been turning. I think Kings win that series personally. A lot of disrespect thrown their way, but Lakers Grizz is a good one. Hopefully, Ja comes back. But
no, I got Lakers in 6 in that one. But
oh yeah. I was disappointed when Raptors lost the play-in though.
I mean, DeMar DeRozan's daughter took over social media.
Yeah,
man.
did you see that? Like
I was watching the game live when it happened.
Yeah, it was crazy.
She had death threats. So all those people that said death threats, y'all a bunch of clowns. Like, why are you saying death threats to a 5? I'm just looking at my. Yeah. Why are you saying death threats to a 9-year-old? You guys are clowns.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes things get taken out of context, out of sport. I was like, it's her daughter. Her daughter she has that competitive spirit.
Like her dad's now the Raptors no more. She ain't for us now. It's over.
The way DeMar got traded was pretty, I don't want to say disrespectful.
I mean, we won a chip, but I keep telling people,
But you know what? It was worth it. We won a championship.
Exactly.
Anyone that says we didn't, that trade wasn't worth it, I was like, you guys have been, because like I grew up watching Raptors during the Bargnani era, Primo Pasta, bro.
Trust me, Lennox Clays, Sonny Weems, all those guys,
that's
man. Leandro Barbosa.
When we won, I was in downtown. Oh my god, the whole city was crazy.
So lit,
the Cactus guy, remember the Cactus? It was wild, man. So that's Toronto sports. Hopefully the Maple Leafs don't disappoint.
Yeah, can they please stop? Can they please get out the first round? I'm not a Leaf. I don't watch the hockey, but can they please get out the first round?
I don't know. It seems like a curse. I don't know. It just sucks.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, Toronto sports turns up again. I mean, we used to be really good. Like Toronto FC won a championship.
I know. My brother's a big TFC fan. Yep.
We had a good era, but hopefully we turn up.
I know. But who you got winning the chip?
Suns, man. I'm a Suns. I'm a KD fan. I just want, and it's I don't know. A lot of disrespect been thrown KD's way, so this is almost like a redemption playoff run.
No, we'll see, man. A lot.
Cool. What do you got?
I actually don't know.
You don't know?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, Boston are always.
I think I got Boston coming out of the East. The West, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
especially with Giannis injured. I don't know if
I'm honestly, man. I'm gonna have to wait till the finals. Whoever makes it out to pick, I can't pick right now. I honestly cannot pick right now.
The Western Conference is like a toss, man.
Bro, there's literally 6 teams that can make it out.
Yeah, Western Conference is real competitive though. I like it. I like that. But Eastern Conference, I don't know.
I know, but it's underrated though. I think the first 3 series, we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure.
Exactly, but now, like I said, we talked about a lot of stuff this episode. Like I said, glad to have you finally come on the podcast. You know, season 4 finale. Had to end it on a
Hope
bang.
alumni,
Had to end on a
Scarborough
bang.
alumni for sure, man.
But the final question, man, like we talked a little bit about fam. Like, fam, you're about to be done now, bro. Like, you've been here for 6 years. You did your time, bro. Like, fam, what's the
Did
future?
my time, yeah.
You did your time. That's how it is, fam. But fam,
Did your
like,
time.
what's the future hold, man?
The future, honestly, hopefully continuing in education. Opportunities definitely arise while I'm in my master's. So hopefully securing the continuation of my education somewhere, and honestly just continuing coaching and elevating as a coach. Obviously, I still want to get back into playing, but that coaching experience definitely inspired me to continue coaching, getting my licenses, trying to coach at the highest level possible. So it'll be awesome continuing both of those at the same time simultaneously would work hand in hand. So yeah, man, hopefully some big plans coming up in the future in September. Maybe we could do an online podcast to catch up, be like, where am I at now? So
There'll be some phone calls for sure, bro.
yeah, bro, 100%. Always, it's always good to speak with someone that has experienced Pope, Scarborough, and what it's like to come here. I feel like similar experiences almost. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. I'm glad you're done exams. Thankfully, I didn't have any exams, but
Yeah, man.
that's awesome. So
No.
that's huge. What's the plans for you? What's next for you?
Just got summer. Right now, I got a sprained ankle, so I'm trying to heal from that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm trying to find a job right now. I'm trying to train, and senior year is coming up in 4 months.
Trying to go out with a bang, huh?
Yeah, last year, man. I'm looking forward to seeing this banner in the gym next year.
Yeah, man. You and Dev, right? Like,
Yep.
you guys got some banners. You guys are
Coming this-
legends, bro. Like,
Coming
your
summertime, man.
legacies are solidified. I always say you and Dev, man. Dev is Mr. North Bay himself. I don't see Dev leaving North Bay. Dev is Mr. North Bay. He's that. Everyone knows Dev. So
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, but
Nah, I love Devin, man.
no, man, for sure. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Like, what you've done is amazing. I always like to reiterate it, man. You should always get your props and
Nah, I appreciate
the
it, man.
change that you made, bro.
No, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, it's been fun. Like I said, this year, had all these guests this year. I quickly want to thank everyone who came on the podcast this year. It's another great year. I said at the beginning, it was another great year of athletics. It's always fun to do this podcast. It's crazy that it's been 3 years I've done this podcast already, but obviously as right now, season 5 will unfortunately be my final season doing this podcast. Hopefully someone will take this over after next year. But as of right now, like I'm saying it from now, season 5 will be my final season hosting this podcast. Want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast. Like, I'm really excited for my 5th year. My last year. It's my last year, man.
I go with the bang. That's what I'm
My
saying.
last year. Came in as a 19-year-old kid, leaving as almost going 24-year-old man. It's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
It's crazy. That's huge,
Crazy, man. So with that said, man, that is a wrap on the season 4 finale of the Lakers Locker. I want to thank my dog, Achu. We did editing this style, man. Exams are done. Year's done. Yes, sir. You can catch the video version on YouTube and listen to the full interview on all podcast streaming platforms. Peace out. See you guys next year.
Sir.